One main reason why 9/11 happened was not because there were insufficient data available to prevent the occurrence of this event. Rather, it happened because relevant agencies were not effectively collaborating. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode, and today we will be talking about Palantir. The background of Palantir was pretty interesting, and this was expressed by Palantir's CEO and co-founder Alex Karp in an interview where he said, "Our company took 3 years to build before it even went to market, 3 years before it even made any revenue. In any other part of the world, people will probably laugh you out of the room." Hearing this has made me think, can you imagine yourself working 3 years without any pay? He did, however, mention that the culture of Silicon Valley actually encourages this, and this is something that has been normalized there. He suggests that perhaps that is why many great startups come from Silicon Valley, which I thought was interesting as well. Do take note though that co-founders Alex Karp and Peter Thiel were already in a financially stable position, which was why they were able to take such a risk. Also, it's good to know that till this day, Palantir is giving its employees a huge amount of stock-based compensation, which kind of ties up to what he's saying. But going back to the topic, now let's talk about Palantir. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a technical expert, so I'll be sharing my thoughts and insights from a layman perspective. This begs the question, what is Palantir? Founded in 2003 by the PayPal Mafia, Alex Karp, and a bunch of computer scientists from Stanford, Palantir is basically a leader in 3 big domains: artificial intelligence, computer networking, and data analytics. Perhaps you might have heard of this phrase. Data is the new oil, and mining this new oil and refining it would allow organizations to make better decisions. How, you may ask? And that is by firstly, improving efficiency in organizations, and secondly, allowing them to lower operational costs. However, even though most organizations need people to do the work, notably data analysts and data scientists, there is a global shortage of such skilled personnel. So what Palantir did was that they created a software that would help to analyze the collected data, turning it into actionable insights that is understood by the layman. This replaces the role of a data analyst or data scientist, but this still leaves a lot of questions like, what are its products? What is so special about this company? So of course, like anything else, if we want to understand something, we will probably head to their website. That is if they have one, right? And looking through Palantir's website has given me the impression that they are trying to achieve a similar vibe as Apple's website, which is using a lot of huge jargons to evoke a certain emotion in viewers. Like, it's not very technical, and they do not say much about the specifications, but it focuses more on the entire vibe. Sure, it doesn't seem as vibrant, but it does seem like there is more emphasis on making the consumers or visitors of the webpage derive a certain impression of sophistication in their product or service. Looking through Palantir's website, how do you feel? When I first skimmed through the website, I was quite lost figuring out what Palantir's products were about, and frankly, I think it's quite complex, which I do believe may instead create more confusion and misunderstanding among its potential investors and clients seeking to understand the company. Especially for people from non-technology backgrounds, what does this mean? Doesn't really explain much. Yes, I do feel that Palantir software is pretty sophisticated, and perhaps Palantir is trying to instill that kind of impression among its viewers, but it should not compromise helping viewers understand the products more easily, or else it may potentially backfire into a less pleasant viewing experience. What appears to be done is just an explanation of the features of the software. It's secure, it's stable, it's unique, but what even is it? What kind of software are they selling? The webpage doesn't say much. Oh, and these are taken from the product description of Apollo, by the way. So when explaining what the product does or how it works, it should be elaborated in a clear and concise manner, which will allow viewers to easily get a clear understanding of the products. And if its products are explained clearly and concisely, this gives clients the confidence in Palantir and its products. This is because they will likely draw a similar association that, like its webpage, Palantir is an efficient company which conveys ideas in a clear manner, which, in my opinion, is what clients will be looking for. For instance, if you don't understand what the web page is talking about, what would you be thinking about this company? In my case, I'll be thinking like, everything seems so complex. I don't even understand how to use your products from your web page. Will I then be able to understand how to use your product? And especially since a large part of Palantir's clients are non-tech corporations, that's probably what they will be thinking, and they will probably not subscribe to Palantir's service if they do not understand all these technical terminologies and how Palantir's products work or how it will benefit them. Okay, but anyway, this will make much more sense as I go through what Palantir's products are. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you in a manner that is hopefully simple, clear, and concise. Before I move on to the first product, I'll need to share some interesting context that Alex Karp said in an interview about 9/11. He said that one main reason why 9/11 happened was not because there were insufficient data available to prevent the occurrence of this event. Rather, it happened because relevant agencies were not effectively collaborating. You may be thinking, what do I mean by that? Okay, let's say there are two defense agencies, right? Institution X and Institution Y, and these institutions have a bunch of data. Institution X then wants to take out that one or two relevant data sets and pass them to Institution Y, yet is unable to figure out a way to do so without Institution Y looking through it. Because they wouldn't know what is the missing puzzle that Institution Y needs, right? So hence they would need humans to look through the data to determine the data that they need, which is a no-go, because that would be considered a potential threat to the security of these institutions. And this problem can actually be solved by a Palantir product, Gotham. So what Gotham does is, instead of humans looking through and sorting out the data, you have a software helping you to do that. But what I do find amazing about Gotham is that it collects its data from millions of sources, but where and how the data is collected is undisclosed, meaning to say that it is a trade secret, and outsiders are unlikely to know many details about the technical operations of Gotham. So for example, what Gotham can do is, through a satellite image, detect a suspicious ship that has left a border. It will then alert the user on the possible actions that will be taken by the ship according to the patterns that the Gotham AI finds in its pre-existing large datasets. It will then determine and present a few causes of action to these government organizations. So from such a case study, it can be seen that Gotham hugely benefits the United States and its allies, defending Western values, which is why it is so controversial. But regardless, you can't deny that the technology behind it is revolutionary. Okay, so moving away from Gotham and on to the next problem that Palantir solves. Data in organizations are constantly increasing and creating massive amount of entropy if these data are not properly organized. Not only is that so, but companies also lack the necessary skilled manpower such as data scientists and data analysts to collect and dissect the data into useful information. Thus, to combat this problem, Palantir created Foundry. So what is Foundry, right? Foundry is a software that combines data that has been originally stored in cloud platforms, be it the Amazon Web Service or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Program, and transform the data into knowledge that human operators can use to make better decisions. Data is also constantly updated into the system in real time and by liaising with the other sectors within the company. With this newly updated data, Foundry will then analyze the data and advise the company on what needs to be done based on the real-time data updates from every action across all sectors of the company. This creates a type of predictive analysis done by artificial intelligence that was previously impossible, helping organizations make sound decisions at every step of the way. One such instance is using data to ensure the supply of PPE to all hospitals meet the hospital's specific needs, right? Due to the shortage of PPE, like masks, Foundry is used to determine the optimal allocation of PPE in real time to ensure that hospitals are always operating at the highest efficiency. So in essence, what you basically have is a software making decisions on behalf of human beings, ensuring smooth day-to-day operations. On to the last and final product, Apollo. During one of Palantir's webcasts in 2020, Apollo is said to be the central operating system of a modern enterprise. Some call it a continuous delivery system, while others would call it the underlying structure behind Gotham and Foundry. Okay, so what is it? If you are sharp, you would have taken note of the idea of a delivery system. And right now, because Apollo enables companies to carry out software updates over the air instantaneously, like how our computer occasionally reboots and stops operating when updating, except that Apollo updates your software without disrupting operations, which is a huge efficiency boost. Apollo communicates with the big data platforms like Foundry and Gotham, where these platforms will report the current state of the environment to Apollo and then receives relevant updates, changes from Apollo, all done without human intervention. It is known for its ability and speed of carrying out these software updates, even in challenging physical environments like in war zones and low bandwidth environments. The best part of it all, it is completely detachable from the Palantir ecosystem and can be sold as a product on its own. So for example, companies like Netflix do not have to build their own software, but instead, just by using Apollo, their smart TV software updates can be done immediately. That's not all. Remember how Palantir works with government agencies? Another amazing point about Palantir is that for clients dealing with classified government data, due to security issues, software has to be run on private networks and cannot be delivered through the internet, which Apollo is also able to do that as well. Having gone through Gotham, Foundry, and Apollo, I'm sure that if you're like me, you might have a few questions in mind, with one of them being competition. What I'm about to share is based on the articles I've read and interviews I've watched, as well as what I think makes sense. So let me run through all possible competition briefly. Firstly, why don't companies develop their own product? Simply put, it is not worth it. Cost aside, Palantir's software is by far the most sophisticated. Not only is that so, those who subscribe to Palantir's software face minimal risk because it's subscription based and not contract bound, meaning to say organizations can choose not to work with Palantir whenever they like. This shows that Palantir is confident that their software is so good that companies who try their product will stay with Palantir all the way. This then raises another question: how about large tech enterprises like Google and Microsoft? Given that they have the capital to fund such a project, as well as their existing distribution and customer base from their cloud businesses, wouldn't it make sense for them to venture into this industry? And the answer I have for that is yes, they probably could and should be taken seriously if they do. However, it is important to note that it does not seem like these large tech and companies have the concept or are looking to create a personalized data analytics software for businesses. What they have done is created a software that provides a more general but less customized analysis. Will they make a more customizable one in the future? I don't know, but if they wanted to do it, they would have. Or else they wouldn't need to leverage on Palantir's Foundry in the first place. Furthermore, tech giants like Google have clearly stated their stance on not wanting to be involved in military projects, right? And speaking of military projects, how about defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon Technologies? Surely they would be able to compete with Gotham? It's actually surprising to find out that in 2018, Palantir won an $800 million contract from the US Army, beating Raytheon Technologies to the deal, proving the superiority in Palantir's software. So what about competitors of Foundry? Names such as Snowflake, C3AI, Alteryx, and Datadog may ring a bell. In short, Palantir has no direct competitors. What do I mean? Companies like Snowflake focuses more on data warehouse, which mainly involves AI and edge computing, with minimal focus on data analytics, which is the main selling point of Palantir. As for the rest, they either lack the customization or a more intuitive user interface like that Palantir provides for clients without a technology background. This means that unlike Palantir, if clients would like to use these company software, engineers are actually required to operate the software to extract and interpret the data. And to me, if you're a large company seeking to outperform your competition and scale your company as fast as possible, you will not go for a one-size-fits-all software, but instead choose the best software. something that is more personalized, catering directly and specifically to their needs, and that is Palantir. However, there is a Reddit comment here who claims that Salesforce should be treated seriously, with Salesforce targeting small and medium businesses and Palantir leading market share from the large institutions and governmental organizations, a bit like Coke versus Pepsi or Android versus iOS. And he claims that he's a computer scientist who has worked under the Gotham project and in Salesforce for a number of years. So, if that is true, I guess his words probably have some credibility. Again, I may be wrong about this, but based on what he is saying, it seems like Salesforce is a direct competitor to companies like C3AI and Datadog than Palantir. Anyway, what do you guys think about this? Do you agree with what he says about Palantir's competition? Do put your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Wrapping up, many people have criticized Palantir and Alex Karp for their stance on defending Western values, to which Karp replied in an interview last year. The only reason why you have the luxuries to criticize us is because we stop terrorist attacks from happening, which highlights the values of Palantir, defending Western democratic values like freedom of speech and religion. Well, that's all I have for now. I've also included a bunch of links in the description that may help you in further understanding the company, so feel free to take a look. If you have learned something from this video, would greatly appreciate if you would kindly smash that like button. It helps more people to understand what Palantir is about. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.